Hello and welcome to my review of the movie 1917. It's almost Armistice Day, where 103 years ago, on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, World War I ended. I believe this to be an excellent movie and a tribute to those men who fought and those who died on both sides. To me, a war film should reflect reality. It's important that history is remembered accurately. In this case, it's not set upon a particular battle or even necessarily a true event that happened, in that these particular soldiers did not necessarily go to stop an attack from happening. But the director said it was based upon his family's experience in World War I, specifically his grandfather. The nature of World War I makes many of the movies very similar. Trench warfare is a static form of war and tends to limit the ability of filmmakers to conduct a normal movement type of cinematic experience. However, that does not make this an inaccurate or false portrayal, because it is based on a very important event that is overlooked by almost everyone. In 1917, the Germans built a massive fortification, perhaps the largest fortification ever built in the history of the world. It stretched along the entire Western Front. They built it several miles behind the front line. This was called the Hindenburg Line, and it was very tough. They incorporated concrete, pillboxes, canals, everything you could imagine, and it was a defense in depth.
Who's winning?
They pulled back to it in secret, as you see in this movie. When British patrols found that there were no longer troops opposing them, they did move forward. It was a chance to attack. The British called this the Great Retreat. What was learned during the British advance was that they were unable to support the troops moving forward because their logistics train had become mired in static warfare. That means that all the tragic battles that they had fought were honestly never going to succeed. Even if they had broken through, the logistics train would have let them down, and they couldn't have exploited any success. The lessons learned from the Great Retreat allowed the Allies, and specifically the British, to be able to exploit their advances and breakthroughs a year later in 1918, which led to the victories of the next year. I've been asked what the Allies should have done at the beginning of the war, and I think after the first few attacks in 1914 and early 15, they should have done what the Germans did in 1917 and built a Hindenburg-style line behind their previous fortifications and starved out the enemy. They should have waited till they had a massive advantage in tanks and material, and the Americans were coming anyway, wait for them. The total reorganization of the supply and logistics is what allowed the victory, and we learned that from this Great Retreat. Sam Mendes directed this movie. He had previously directed Spectre and Skyfall. This is a totally different type of movie. As I'd said before, his grandfather was in World War I, and he had grown up listening to his horrific stories and had hoped one day to do justice to them with a unique and powerful story inspired by his grandfather's experiences in that terrible war. He chose to do it in a single take, similar to Hitchcock's Rope, but this wasn't set in a single room, but in a landscape, so you're basically moving across the landscape. And when you consider that previous World War I movies had been stuck in the trenches, this allowed you to move across a landscape and experience the entire landscape from his point of view. While he never mentions Hitchcock, when you look at the single shot method and you also look at the use of lighting, you'll see here the light and dark, the shadows. This is amazing cinematography, and Hitchcock was well known for his use of reflected light and had worked with lighting before he even became a director. It's obvious that Sam drew some inspiration from Hitchcock because he even has the airplane scene. So you have the lighting, the single shot, and the airplane crashing right into them, like out of North by Northwest. The acting is superb. I can really find nothing wrong with this movie. So I'm going to give this one 5 out of 5 bayonets up and tell you you should go see this movie. I highly recommend it. And never forget, it's the sacrifices of these men that allow us our freedoms. Thank you for your kind attention.
Oh my, who are you? Oh, I don't know. Oh, that's not a Gorn. But you might be if you don't like and subscribe. Oh, don't know. Oh, no. Oh, stop. Oh, my goodness. Now that's a Gorn. He did not like and subscribe. He's kind of grumpy. Don't be a Gorn. Boy, he's strong.
Watch out!
You think he would have took one step right?